Boxing with Kate Cypress, and I'm here with Caleb Hall, who returns to action October 29th at Mile High Mayhem against Joey Banks. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be speaking with you. So last December, I was scrolling through your Instagram, and everything was fine. And then I scroll a couple days later, and I see you have a fucking big throat tattoo.
Oh yeah.
What was that about?
Hey, last minute decision, man. Funny. So I was like, I had two neck tattoos already. I had this one here and then this one, but this was all blank. So I was like, well, shit. I was like, I kind of want to fill it in. So I went to the tattoo shop and I was like, hey, could you put it like right here, like that would the top of it would have been, so it wasn't gonna be on my throat. And she's like, well, yeah, I can do that for you. So she put the design there, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, she's like, we could go a little higher with it. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I was like, just do the whole thing. Sure enough, she did. And it ended up like even like on my jaw, some of it. Yeah, it went crazy. So I was like, I guess I'm locked in now. So, but it
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, I was just like, it was just kind of like fucking just throat tattoos are, you don't see a lot of them, but I
Well,
mean,
I'll tell you
yeah.
what. Now it's like instead of Caleb Hall, the MMA fighter guy, they're like, oh, there's the throat tattoo guy. So I mean, it's like I got that label going for me, so that works. I'm real easy to identify, man. Oh yeah, got the throat tattoo in the gym. Perfect.
Exactly. And so it's just a skull tattoo.
Yeah, so it's a skull.
Okay.
And it's got two roses in the eyes. Going up is a butterfly. And yeah, then around it I got some flowers, a bird on this side. So yeah. Yeah. I guess like it's funny because like I'll be like be talking to people for like the first time, and or like some people people be staring at me, and I'm like, what are they staring at? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got a skull on my throat. I was like, I forgot. It's been funny. It's a good conversation starter though. It works every time. So they're like, so what made you get the tattoo? I'm like, I guess I just don't want to be employed. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like, bro, I guess you're gonna be a fucking fighter for that's it is what it is.
Got no choice. That's what Cub Swanson was telling me right before my LFA fight last time. He's like, well, I think you don't have another career path to choose, man. I was like, I think you're pretty locked in. You got to make it at this point. I was like, yeah. So gave myself no other choice.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So for everybody who doesn't know your story, how did you get into mixed martial arts?
So my brother had so he was always kind of into it. It was probably like back when like Brock Lesnar was kind of a big deal. He had like it was when like UFC fights were on DVDs. I don't know if people remember that. You could watch like a whole event on DVD or whatever. But I wasn't really into it then. And then I watched I had seen Benson Henderson fight Frankie Edgar for the second time. That was like the first one I had kind of like caught my eye a little bit. And then I watched Cub Swanson versus Dennis Seaver. And I liked Cub Swanson a lot. Just the tattoos, like his swagger, like he was walking him down, he was hitting him. I was like, he's legit. So I kind of just got me hooked, man. I was like, and I found an MMA gym that was close to my house. And this was in 2012. So MMA wasn't as big as it is now. There wasn't a lot of gyms, but what I found was it was like a karate gym that had like an MMA practice. So I started going there, got involved in their MMA practice. And at the time, I don't know if you know who Mirsad Bektik is. He was there at the time. He was kind of like a local, and this is in Nebraska. And he was kind of a local guy that was coming up, and everyone kind of knew he was going to make it. It was before Anthony Smith was in the UFC. He was headlining events in Nebraska at the same time. So yeah, I kind of got into it. Started going to local fights there was a promotion at the time. They're called Disorderly Conduct. They're now Dynasty Combat in Nebraska. And I remember watching. Well, actually, before I went to that, I went to a Muay Thai fight, and it was Drew Dober. He was fighting. So like this is like that's how long ago this is. This is forever ago. And I'm watching all this. I'm like, yo, I was like, I'm gonna do this. And yeah, that's kind of how I got my start into it. Took a little bit of I took some side quests on going through. But yeah, this is the one thing that has never gone away. So
That's awesome to hear. So I wanted to talk about your last fight a little bit. There was some fucking heat going into that fight. It was Team Elevation versus Factory X. I guess, first of all, before even the fight, I guess, what was like the heat behind it, and were you fighting angry?
so the kind of heat kind of came from, so my manager hit me up, and I had hit him up. I was like, hey, I saw that a guy named Jacoby Jones needed a fight in a week. And I was already kind of like, this is my first fight at lightweight, and I was already kind of losing weight and on my way to lightweight. And I asked him, I was like, hey, you think I could take it? And he told me, he was straight up with me. He's like, it's a hard fight. You know what I mean? He's like, but if you think you can take it, you can take it. And, you know, I kind of was going with the old, well, I want the hardest fights. You know what I mean? But like, looking kind of back at it, you want the easiest fights for the biggest paycheck. You know what I mean? So, but I was like, I'll take it. I definitely underestimated his wrestling skills. But I trained with really good grapplers. So I was like, there's no issue. So I took it. And then that night, Jacoby had posted on his story. He was like, see you soon, Caleb Hall. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, and I kind of tagged him back. I started it, to be fair. I was like, easy payday or something like that. And from there, I guess he did some digging and went on my Twitter. And I'm not super active on Twitter, but I had posted a while ago that Factory X isn't an elite gym. And I posted that after Mark Montoya let I can't recall his name. The guy Mike Davis fought him. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Thomas Gifford.
That's Thomas Gifford. And he just let him get the shit beat out of him. Bad. And then he got knocked out. And I was like, well, and I had gone to Factory X before, and like when I moved to Colorado, I sparred them, and I just didn't think they were that great. And I was like, oh, Factory X isn't really that an elite gym. Like the fighters were running practice there, and I was just like, where are your coaches and stuff like that? So yeah, and I guess he got offended by that, and from there it just kind of kept going. He had messaged me, and he was like, I'm gonna like head kick you and knock you out and all this stuff. But I knew I kind of already knew he was not gonna stand with me at all. So I was like, okay. I was like, sure. And then his teammate messaged me, and his teammate is Harris Talzunic, and he was talking like really crazy. And I was like, oh, like, okay, bet. You know what I mean? So anyway, long story short, yeah, that's kind of where the beef started with him. And I did kind of carry it into the fight a little bit, but I'm always going to talk my shit for sure. You know what I mean? And to like, you know, I was clearly losing that fight, you know what I mean? And looking back at it, should have talked less, should have worked on getting up a little more. But I'll say this, you know, as a fighter, we like to make excuses. And even if we just like to make excuses. It is what it is. I was injured, this, that, and like the worst one that I hate, because I'm a striker for sure. You know what I mean? Is, well, he just didn't want to stand. Okay, well, it's my job as a fighter to get up. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have been put in the position where I couldn't stand if that was the case. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful that he showed me that there are levels to it. You know what I mean? And you know, I was in my head. I was like, I hadn't fought in a couple of years. Just had trouble getting opponents. I had just signed with some new management. There was a lot going into the fight, but I did put that pressure on myself by talking shit. Like I said, you know what I mean? And I'm grateful for the loss because it showed me that there's a lot more that I need to learn. So, and as much as I don't like Jacoby, he is a high level opponent. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, no, for sure. I guess you kind of like touched on it, but was there anything that you could take away from that fight?
Yeah, for sure. Right after when you're undefeated, you kind of always think like, well, like I'll grapple, I'll go to grappling classes, I'll do this stuff. But at the end of the day, what I've been doing has been working for me. So it took a loss for me to I started working with a coach whose name's Peter Straub. He works here at Elevation Fight Team. And I started getting into Corey Sanhagen runs some really good grappling classes here. So I started just going to, like, even to this day, I'm going like constantly 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes twice a day just to grappling. Like I know how to strike, you know what I mean? So yeah, it showed me that that's a huge hole in my game. And my fight was on Fight Pass. So now the blueprint to beat me technically is out there. So I'm with a sense of urgency trying to, fix the holes that I have in the game. So, and I have time, you know what I mean? But yeah.
And you just kind of led into my next thing. So you suffered your first professional loss. Um, and I was going to say like how that affect you, but you've had losses in your amateur career, but this is like but this is your first professional loss. How did that affect you at all, if it did?
You know, I think, and it sounds like a bad mentality, but learning to lose is important. You have to be okay with losing. I lose all the time in the gym, and like I've lost, like I said, as an amateur. I've lost as an amateur boxer. I had a few amateur boxing fights when I was in the Army, and I've lost a few of them. So it's like I'm good at growing from my loss. Like if you beat, I'm good at making adjustments. So if you beat me in one area, you probably won't beat me in that same area again. And so that's my thing is like you have to kind of, in the gym you can learn as much as possible, but it's so easy to say, well, let's just practice. In the fight, I'm gonna perform, whatever the case may be. But and in the fight, in my last fight, being like, to be fair, I didn't take a ton of damage. I did kind of get laid on a little bit, like I said, and it is my job to get up from that. But those are positions in the gym that I was like, oh, okay, cool. This round's 5 minutes. Bet. You know what I mean? You can lay on me. We get a stand on the next round. I'll go with somebody else. And that was kind of the mentality I had going to the fight, was kind of the same way, right? But I never want to be okay with losing, but I'm not afraid of it. There's definitely there's room to grow from losing, and and it's easy when you're winning. It's easy to not fix the holes. So,
when did you serve in the military?
So I joined in 2015, and I served 4.5 years. I got out in 2018.
Damn. You were fighting while serving?
Yes. So I had so I fought twice. My first pro fight or amateur fight was at 17 years old. It was in Nebraska, and I fought again as an amateur, and then I joined the military. Went through basic training, all that stuff. Then I got involved in boxing in the military. I met a great coach. His name is Michael Pruitt, and I started boxing. I fell in love with just boxing. Then, and it's funny, I was taking MMA fights, including the ones with Tony Linder, just boxing. I didn't do any jiu-jitsu. I didn't do anything. I was just with my boxing experience, and I was boxing on the side while doing MMA simultaneously. But yeah, and pretty much I fought. It was kind of hard to fight consistently because the schedule of the Army is pretty demanding. That's a big reason why I got out, because I knew what I wanted to do. But yeah, I was pretty much fighting twice a year, probably. I did all my amateur career in the military. So,
how was Hell Week?
Well, so it depends, right? So in Hell Week, so for like in the Navy SEALs, they go through Hell Week, but in the Army, what you should go through is it's the first week when you get there, and they call it like a shark attack, right? So it's like drill sergeants are all up on you, and it was rough. Did I lose you? Yeah, no, it was rough, bro. I was in one of the all male basic training. There's no females, and all of our drill sergeants were males. It was pretty tough. But the thing was, it was funny because a drill sergeant had been on my Facebook before, and I had pictures of me fighting. So he was like, "Oh, you think you're a tough guy or whatever?" And I had that label, and I couldn't shake it. And it was, I say, no, I'm out. So we would have fight nights in the barracks, and we would do bodies only, because if we had marks on our face, the drill sergeants would be like, "What the fuck?" And I'll never forget. There was this big Puerto Rican kid. His name was I don't remember his name. He was big, and they're like, "Caleb, you need to fight him or whatever." And I remember he was in a bathroom that we were fighting, and like everyone was around or whatever, and like he just went off on me. And I remember I was like, weather the storm, because I know he's gonna get tired. And like he was beating up my ribs and stuff like that. And then I just remember I just whooped his ass right after. Man, bring back some memories. But yeah, long story short, it was a trip. It was fun.
What was the toughest thing that you had to do during that basic training?
During basic, probably the toughest thing. I would have to say probably we did a few. Basic training honestly wasn't as tough as I went to air assault school.
Okay.
That was tough. You're always air assault school is like it's shorter. It's only 2 weeks, but it's like for the 2 weeks you're already in the military at this point, and it's hard, man. That's the hardest thing I did when I was in the military for sure. You have to do a 12-mile ruck under a certain amount of time. You're not sleeping. If they catch you sleeping, it's bad. It goes bad for you. It definitely made me mentally strong, and I failed the first time, so I had to go through it twice.
Damn.
I know people are like, why would you go through it again? And I was like, because I was like, I gotta do it. I gotta go through it. It was rough, but it definitely made me who I am now. So I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. So, Joey Banks, your return to action. What do you think of him as an opponent?
He's pretty decent. I've as soon as I got word that he was who I was fighting, I was kind of looking up his videos. He's got a lot of taper on there. He's been around for a long time. He fought in RFA, so been around for a while. He's never fought at 55, so I'm kind of curious what that's going to be like. He's fought at 35 and 45. His last MMA loss was to Yusuf Zalal. So that's a pretty, top quality opponent. And he went 3 rounds with him. So I know he's durable. He's a tough guy. He's a Bang Muay Thai guy, and Bang Muay Thai is all about flashy combinations. I'm a really just a Thai boxer. So I think the basics win fights. So I'm expecting some flashy stuff out of him. Like I said, as a guy, an opponent, I don't know a ton about him. He did train with the team that I'm on for a while. So my peers kind of know more about him than I do. But yeah, I think from this fight, so kind of pulling into my last fight, I've kind of just separated the face from who I'm fighting. Like my last fight was, it was really personal, and it didn't necessarily have to be, but it still was. So this fight, I've detached myself from who I'm fighting as much and focused more on just me. What am I going to do well on fight night versus what he's good at or what he's going to do? Obviously, my coaches are aware of what he's good at and the areas he's good in. But I'm going to excel at being the best version of me. So,
do you have a prediction for the fight?
I'm going to finish him in the second round. I think he's going to get tired. And he's tough. Like I said, for that first round, he comes out, man, he's hell for I think about a round. But I think it's just going to be too much. He's coming out to fight me. He's 38. He hasn't fought in 3 years. Like I said, his last loss was versus Yusuf. I think Yusuf at the time was like 3-0, 4-0. So yeah, I just don't think he's going to be able to hang. I don't. Like I said, he's tough. He's dangerous. But yeah, I think I'll finish him in the second round.
I just have a couple more things before I let you go. How was the drop to lightweight?
So the first time, so it was tough. So when I win this fight, I'll have a win at middleweight, welterweight, and lightweight as a pro. That was the first thing when my manager signed me. He wanted to nail down. He's like, "Well, what weight do you fight at?" He's like, "Because I have a bunch of weights on here, and I think if you look way back on my amateur record, I fought at featherweight. So I have wins across all types of divisions." I was like, well, lightweight is where I'm gonna stick. I'm 6 foot tall, 75 inch reach. Pretty for lightweight. I like where I stand. But the first time, everyone talks about how they cut 15, 20 pounds, no problem. So I was like, I'll do it, no problem. And then it came time to actually lose the weight, and it was rough, man. It was tough. I was the last one on the scale. Which is like one thing I hated doing, LFA opens the scales at like 11. It's open from 11 to like 1:30. And I had just made the limit. I made 56. It was bad, man. I cut for about 70. So it was rough. Yeah, it was rough. And fight night, I was like 180. I had put a bunch of weight back on, and I was like, holy shit. So this fight, I had 8 weeks. So I dialed in some things. I hired a nutritionist this time. Mike Shee is his name, Hierarchy Nutrition. I hired him, and we had to sit down. We talked a little bit, and we put some things in place. So this should go very smooth this time. very smooth. I'm already lower now than I was halfway through my cut last time. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
really filling into the 155. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. That's awesome to hear. Who are some of your training partners this camp?
So been doing so Joey Banks is 5'6". So I've been sparring guys who are a little shorter, but I still get my regular rounds in. I try, like I said, especially as an early pro, you never know who will switch, right? It could be last minute. Hey, you're fighting somebody else. So I don't try to specify my rounds too much accordingly. So I spar everybody. I get a lot of rounds in with Justin Gaethje. A lot of guys, like, they say, like, if they're on the team, well, I train with Gaethje or whatever, but like I spar him quite a bit. Neil Magny's another guy who I spar him. Sometimes I tried to avoid him. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, he'll be like, yo, let's get around. I'm like, fuck, okay. But I sparred Kamaru a couple times this camp as well. Not sparring him a ton. I sparred him a lot when he fought Masvidal. But obviously Kobe's a little different stylistically than what I bring to the table. But I've got a few rounds with him, and then a couple other guys, some really good guys on the team. Justin Wetzel's another guy he's been actually really awesome. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, I have a hard time finding people to spar with. I'm not like the best sparring partner in the world. Like, I'll say it about myself. I spar hard. I like to spar. But Wetzel, he's a gamer. Today we did two cage rounds together, and he's a little shorter, so it kind of works well. But yeah, for the most part, man, whoever I can get around with, I'll spar.
So. I like Justin, man. He's a killer. He's a killer.
He's dope.
And no one talks about him enough. Like, he's a killer.
Yeah, he's a gamer too, man. And in the gym he's never like, what you see is what you get with Justin. You know what I mean? He'll keep it real with you 100%. And yeah, obviously, and just being in camp with him has been really dope. Being him, Kamaru, and Corey, we've all been in camp together. So when everybody's in camp together, I think the standard of the room raises a little bit. You know what I mean? You get the best version of everybody, which has been awesome. But yeah, Justin is he's the man, bro. He's the man. He's dope. So, and that's who, at the end of the day, like, I am training to fight Joey Banks, but in my head, I'm training to beat Justin Gaethje. You know what I mean? I need to beat the top level guys. And a lot of people, they live off their training partner's name. A lot of guys do. Oh, let's get a picture. I need this. I need that. You know what I mean? But for me, it's like, I just want to be where they're at. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it. I don't ever idolize anybody, but he's good work though. Yeah, for sure.
Before I get a couple of predictions from your teammates, or I guess about your teammates, what's next after this fight? Do you want to go back to LFA, get a couple fights there? Do you want to maybe go into Bellator, get a couple of fights? Like what's the plan?
So right now I'm looking at right after this fight, I know LFA has a card in December that I want to get on. I just heard that a teammate of mine might be on that card, Ryan Charlebois. His opponent fell out for this card on October 22nd here in Vail. So I would like to get on that card for LFA. I like how LFA runs their promotion. Best promotion I've fought for, hands down. It's smooth. But honestly, Bellator is looking pretty good. There's a couple people on my team who fight for them. So there's some, I kind of know what they're kind of about a little bit. But MMA is I feel like these days it's more of an open market. So I'm gonna just keep working my way up, see what happens. Obviously, UFC is what I do consider the highest level. But I have some work to do before I get there, for sure. So
awesome. Well, then we'll sit in on this. Give me some of your thoughts on Sanhagen versus Jan, Usman versus Colby, Rose versus Weili. I mean, what were your thoughts?
Well, we'll start with Corey. I like Corey a lot. I spend a lot of time in Corey's classes. We share a coach. So I think he's going to do a lot to Jan. You know what I mean? I'm not going to obviously give away too much, but I think Corey's got that. If Corey shows up for that fight, the Corey that showed up his last fight, I thought he beat TJ. I'm not even just being biased because that's my teammate. You know what I mean? I thought he beat him. That Corey looked vicious. I think Jan's vicious too. He's dangerous. I like Jan a lot. I like his style. But I'm picking Corey in that one. For the Rose fight, I haven't seen too much of Rose. I've seen her around the gym, but I think that fight the second time is going differently than the first time. Just because there's no such thing as a lucky punch in MMA. I don't believe that. I think if you get caught, it's because you were where you were not supposed to be at the time that they were throwing a punch. I don't think it's lucky. So I think that fight does play out differently. I think I think obviously Rose is the champion, but Weili, she's championship level 100%. You know what I mean? So I think she's going to make adjustments. I think Rose makes adjustments. Trevor's smart. I think he knows that as well. So obviously I'm picking Rose. Usman and Covington is that fight's going to be hard too. You know what I mean? I think it's always interesting when you see rematches, just because both fighters are such quality fighters that they're going to make adjustments. And Kamaru's past 2 fights, I think everyone can be honest that Jorge probably didn't belong in those fights, either of them. And I think the first time, it wasn't close, but he let him. He finished, or he didn't finish him. And the second time he made it clear that you're not on the level I'm at. With Colby, I think it's a little different. I think that fight was extremely close the first time around. And I think it's going to be close the second time around too. Kamaru has the mentality of a champion though. I will say that. When he's sparring with guys, he'll talk to him, you know what I mean? And he'll talk to himself. And it's hard to break, you know what I mean? And I think he's gonna break Colby for sure. And then Gaethje and Chandler.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm rocking with Gaethje, but man, fuck that fight. You know what I mean? I just as a fan, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm hyped. You know what I mean? Someone's going to sleep in that fight for sure. I don't think that fight goes to a decision. So that would be my prediction for those fights.
Awesome. Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much for the time. If you want to plug your social media, plug some sponsors, the floor is yours.
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at Caleb W. Hall. And then my Instagram is CalebHall_MMA. As far as sponsors go, I just want to, just like I said, another big shout out to my nutritionist, Hierarchy Nutrition. That's his Instagram as well, Hierarchy Nutrition. He's been dope. You know what I mean? I'm excited for this weight cut. Never been excited for a weight cut. He's telling me I get to eat on fight week, so I'm kind of into that. You know what I mean? So, but besides him, obviously shout out to my gym, Pound for Pound Fitness, Justin Houghton's gym here in Denver, and then Elevation Fight Team. So, and I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Well, good luck, and we'll talk afterwards.
100%, brother.